Hey guys, it's Coach Gaglione here. This is another edition of our Gag Goals Updates. If this is your first time stopping by, I'm Coach Gaglione. This is Gaglione Strength, and I've been involved with strength coaching and powerlifting for over 13 years. This is our final video in our Pit Stop to 242 series. If you have been following along, this kind of is chronicling my training and my weight loss journey. I've been as heavy as 340 pounds, and this was our little pit stop at 242, and I'm going to be back on the road to 198 moving into this year. So a couple of quick things. So just for some context, like I said, back in 2015, I hit a 900-pound squat in the super heavyweight class, and I just wasn't really happy with my health and how I was feeling. So I decided to go on a weight loss journey. So over the past 3 years or so, I've just been trying to get healthier, stronger, and leaner, and just be pound for pound the best version of myself, both inside and out. So one of my goals for this year was to hit an 800-pound squat in 6 different weight classes. Over the past several years, I've done 900 at super heavyweight, which I mentioned. I've done 850 at 308 and 805 at 275. Last year, I hit a 770 squat at 242, so I was a little bit shy of that goal. And then this past April, I was able to successfully squat 800 at 220. And then last month, I was able to successfully squat 800 at 198, which was obviously the most difficult challenge out of all 6 weight classes, being a 4 times body weight squat. But I still had not done this lift at 242, which is why I elected to do this Metal Militia meet in Lake George with my buddy Bench and Benny, who also had a fantastic showing. Usually a bench-only guy. He decided to throw his hat into full power, and we'll kind of recap the day. So as I mentioned before, so on Halloween, I had my lowest weigh-in ever. I was about 208 pounds. I was very depleted, though. Most of my prep, I was in the 215 to 220 range. Did a water cut, weighed into 197. And after that, on the platform, I was about 226. And then from there, November 10th, so from November 10th through about December 10th or so, for the next 4 to 5 weeks, I just intentionally sought out to bulk a little bit and just increase my calories. And that was really well. I got as heavy as my heaviest weigh-in was about 247 pounds. A lot of that was water weight. A lot of that was bloat. And if you watched our last update, I mentioned before, it's not necessarily the healthiest way to do it, but the bloat, the water weight, every pound helps because mass does move mass. It's a short-term strategy. I don't think it's a long-term strategy, and it's a slippery slope, as I mentioned before. I've been a super heavyweight, and I don't want to kind of fall into that trap. That being said, according to the in-body scale, I did put some good lean mass on in that time frame. And at the time of this taping, I'm about 237, so my weight is starting to kind of go back down progressively. I've just been eating more sensibly. I've still been eating, over 3,000 calories per day, but just again, been eating more whole foods and kind of back to more of my normal diet, just with a little bit more calories. So I'm kind of reversing, I'm kind of going, I went up the pyramid, and I'm going to kind of start to come back down the pyramid. As far as on game day, I did, the day before game day, I did a little bit of like a food fast, but I did not cut my water at all. I didn't really, dehydrate myself. I did no sauna, so I just weighed in at 235 just because I wanted to make sure that I had a good Wilks score for the day. And then everything kind of felt good. Equipment was feeling good. Body was feeling good. Trip to upstate New York was smooth. And we got a lot of good rest the night before. So everything was good. Weigh-in was good, and I kind of got my weight back up into like the 240, 245 range the night before the meet. In terms of squat warm-ups, I got my gear on very quickly. The warm-up room was a little bit crowded, a little bit cramped. It wasn't a really ideal situation, but things went smooth. I was able to get one of my old training partners, Steve Lustarino. Steve Lustarino had a lot of success with our program back in the day, and he's gone on to total over 2,000 pounds in competition, done really well. He's definitely put some body weight on, and like I said, there's been a lot of time in between. But since I didn't really have a handler for that particular day, it was nice that he was able to kind of throw his hand in and help me out quite a bit throughout the whole meet. So I just want to thank Steve for stepping up because we didn't really have a lot of help on that particular day. And, like I said, Kenna was also lifting herself, and I didn't want to rely on, even though it was a tune-up meet for her, I didn't want to ask for too much help because she was lifting as well. Chris Delafav also was calling my depth. If you've seen kind of Chris in some of our other equipped lifting videos, Chris is one of the best equipped lifters in the world right now, both in the 242 and 275 class. So it's nice to have, like I said, some of my friends and old training partners help me out throughout the day. So that went out pretty good. My last warm-up without wraps was about 595 or 6 plates per side. I went up really smooth. I was getting depth, no problem. And And then I did my last warm-up with 685 with the knee wraps on, and that felt pretty good. The wrapping was not like perfect, but like I said, I'll kind of take what I can get, and I'll kind of get into that in a second. So 745 was my opener on the squat. It flew out of a cannon. It's probably the best that weight has moved since I can remember in the last couple of years. So that was a really nice confidence boost, getting in the meet, getting 3 white lights there. I elected to go up to 800 pounds on my second attempt. It didn't move quite so well, but it moved. I lost some of my. My air on the pick. And I kind of folded a little bit of my upper back. It's very minor. You can't even really see it in the video, but it did go smooth. So I elected to take a conservative jump. Steve suggested 835, and I kind of agreed that was good. And that's kind of like where I wanted to be at my meet in November. I missed 825 the month before, so I figured 835 would be a safe bet. The only problem is on the 835 attempt, Steve didn't get the knee wrap quite right, and my left leg started to get undone even before I grabbed the bar. So I was almost going to like scratch on my third attempt, but at that point I just kind of I already hit my goal of 800, so I was like, you know what, let me just give it a go because it did feel pretty good. As I was coming out of the hole, my whole left knee wrap came undone, and I was getting no support from that leg. I ended up having to shift my weight onto my right side a little bit, and it was one of the harder lockouts of my life that I can remember. Usually I don't have much of an issue with that last kind of quarter of the rep, but it was since I didn't have the knee wrap on my left side, it was quite challenging. So I was just kind of hoping that my knee was not going to explode on the way up, and luckily it's still intact. But I was able to stand up with 835 on my third attempt. Like I mentioned before, 770 was my best at 242, so this was a 65-pound PR in this 242 class, and this is 35 pounds up from my meets in November and in April. So I was very happy about that. It's my third heaviest squat of all time in a meet, and it was a 3 white light squat. Chris Delafave called my depth perfect for the standard that was being judged at the meet. So that was on to squats. I got some food in me. Benching I knew was going to be a little bit of a roll of the dice, just because my shoulder was kind of giving me some issues throughout prep and throughout this year. Just for reference, I haven't gone past 185 on any raw work in quite some time. So that's going to be something I'm going to be kind of working on moving forward. So I just did 140, which we're using the Iron Wolf bench bar. I did 140 for a couple of reps just to kind of warm up a little bit. And then I just got in my Bench Freak shirt right away. I started with the lower setting, just the one band. Did 230 and 280 in the lower setting. Everything was moving pretty good. I liked it to get in the second setting after that. And again, there's 3 settings on the shirt, and I haven't done the third setting yet, just again because I'm not trying to aggravate my shoulder too much. I was just trying to get through the meet. Had to make some bigger jumps because there was only one bench in the warm-up room, so that was a little bit of a challenge as well. 320 moved good, 370 moved well as well. So went on to my opener. So open at 415. I was able to successfully do 430 in training, which moved pretty good. 415, I'm not really sure what happened. If the handoff was a little funky or whatever, but or if I was just out of groove, but I didn't quite. I felt like I didn't really quite lock out my right arm, but I was able to get white lights anyway. So I got credit for the lift. It just felt like a little funky, so I don't know if it just came up uneven, got out of the groove, but anyways, regardless, I was in the meet. I kind of let the dust settle. I elected just to make a 15-pound jump, and the reason I made that 15-pound jump is that 430 number was going to allow you to give me a subtotal PR from what I did at 242. So it was just very strategic. So I just made a small jump. So I wanted to make sure I was ahead of the game going into deadlifts. 430 moved a lot better. That moved like even a last warm-up or an opener. So at that point, I was in the meet. At that point, I hit a decent bench. It wasn't, again, not great by any means, but my shoulder was not in pain at that point. So we kind of rolled the dice a little bit here because I want to put myself in position for an elite total and also a PR total. So I was looking to hit something above 1950. And in order for me to do that, I needed to kind of top out on my bench. So we elected to go 475, which was a little bit of the roll of the dice. I was thinking more like 450, 460. But I kind of needed that 475 number to put me in position to hit an all-time PR total, and I felt like it was there that day. And although the way 430 moved, I think 475 should have been there. What ended up happening was they had some younger kids spotting. And of course, this has happened on my right side, which is my bad side. And one of the kids completely took the bar and lifted it out. I guess he thought it was a 3-man handoff. And he apologized after, but it was okay. So I lost that whole position, and even with being out of position, I still got 475 about 3/4 of the way up. But since my shoulder blade was already kind of untucked from the start, I just kind of lost control at the top and started coming down toward my face very quickly. So 475 actually moved. And again, I was only on the second setting. I could get another third setting to get a little bit more out of the shirt. I could have jacked up the shirt a little bit more. I actually was able, they gave me a redo because it was a spotting error, but I elected to pass on it because my shoulder was throbbing at that point, and I didn't want to risk injury, and I didn't want to risk just wasting any unnecessary energy. So that's kind of a veteran move. I kind of learned from my mistakes there. In the past, I probably would have retook the weight, but I wanted to kind of live to fight another day, and I didn't want to hurt my shoulder any more than it was. It's still even kind of still aching, a week and a couple of days after the contest. So I was able to kind of get out of the bench unscathed, and that was the goal. And I hit a subtotal PR at 242, even with basically a token bench. So very happy about that. I'm very excited with the bench, the way the bench training has been gone. I know like when my shoulder is healthy, I should be able to get back into 500, 550 range. And that's going to put me in position to have a really, really good total in the 198 or 220 class next time I compete. Deadlifts was quite interesting to say the least. There was only one deadlift bar at the whole meet, and that was for the platform. So we had to warm up on a stiff bar. Me and Christella Fav and some of the other lifters, we made a executive decision to use the Iron Wolf bench bar, which is still a very stiff bar, but is sharper and thinner. So it was a bit of a compromise. So I felt like I was in a USAPL meet for for a minute. So I give you guys a lot of credit for using that stiff bar because it was not fun. But the Iron Wolf bar, bench bar, at least did have some grip to it, so that was helpful. But it was either that or a 30-year-old Texas power bar with no grip on it. So just made plate jumps there. I took around 315 twice. So I did 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plates, 4 plates, and then I did my last warm up at 500 since it's a 50-pound bar. So I did 5 plates for my last warm up, and then that did not feel great, but anyways, I was in the meet. So I warmed, took my opener at 555. It didn't move that well just because, in my opinion, it moved well, but didn't feel that great just because I was not used to I went from doing the stiff bar to the deadlift bar. And I was very happy that it opened lighter because normally I would open usually my deadlift opener is somewhere between like 570, 585 at most meets the last couple of years. So the fact that I was able to open lighter, going from the stiff bar to the deadlift bar, I think that was a really smart move on our part. So I think that was the right call because I know a lot of people were having balance issues going from the stiff bar, up and down, that sort of thing, hitching. They were having issues timing the deadlift. Even Christella Fav, he ended up doing deadlift only. He almost lost his balance on his opener as well. So that was a good call, just opening a little bit lighter, so I was happy with that decision. I went up to 600. I felt 600 actually felt like it moved better and more comfortably. And again, that probably could have been an opener, but just because of the circumstance, I think I was happy to hit that on a second. And I went right to 650 on my third, and the reason why we went to 650 was that was going to give me a PR Wilks and a PR all-time PR Wilks and a PR total at 242. I didn't have quite as clean of a lockout as my first prior 2 lifts, but it was enough for 2 white lights. And watching the video, it actually looked a lot better than it felt. I felt like I wasn't locked out quite all the way, but watching the video, I think I would have gave myself a white. So either way, I got 2 whites, got good enough for credit for the lift. It's my second best deadlift of all time in a contest. And this was a 10-pound PR at 242, and this gave me a 15-pound total PR with basically a token bench and like 1 good shoulder. And this is my third best total of all time, regardless of weight class. So for a meet, I didn't really train for. For a meet, I kind of did on a whim. For a meet, I did, a month after, having a really hard cut to 198. I was really happy with my performance. Bench and Benny also had a great meet, totaling over 2,100 pounds. And I know once his deadlift gets better, he's going to be very competitive as a full meet lifter if he decides to continue to do that. I know Benny ended up taking, and I was kind of bouncing back and forth. We were helping each other out, which was a lot of fun. So I had a lot of fun competing with my friends. I had a lot of fun competing with Benny. Again, thankful for Steve and Christella Fav for helping me out throughout the meet, and Kenna for helping me after she finished her lifting. She ended up going 6 for 6, hit a PR total as a tune-up before the Arnold. And, one thing I've learned about this meet is don't forget why you started, and don't forget, this should be fun. We're not getting paid millions of dollars for this. This is for most of us, this is a glorified hobby. And the fact that I didn't kind of went into this meet with a very low pressure attitude and just to have fun, I didn't really get overly amped or psyched for any of the lifts. And at the end of the day, this was one of my best, pound for pound, I guess it's my best meet of all time. I didn't really have a crazy prep for it. I just had fun. I focused on execution. I focused on hitting a lot of lifts. And it just gives me a lot of confidence that I'm going to be able to be a more competitive full meet lifter in the long run. I think this is going to give me more experience to become a better coach. And the last thing that I'll say, we're still fact checking this, but at the time of this taping, I believe I am the only person to squat 800 in 6 weight classes on the books. Like I said, 900 super heavyweight, 850 at 308, now 835 at 242, 805 at 275, and 800 at 220 and 198. So even though none of those numbers are like the best of the best, none of those numbers are like top 20 or top 50 all time, they're some of the best numbers in the country for those years. And for me, the fact that I've done something that no other person potentially has done, that's pretty cool for me, for someone that's average genetics coming from a small town in Long Island, New York. So I'm very, very happy to reach my goal. I was able to hit 3 weight classes out of the 6 in just this year. So I'm going to take some time off. I probably won't compete for at least another year. I plan on doing the same meet in December at 198. And my next goal is to hit a 2,000 total and a 10 times body weight total. So in order for that to happen, I'm going to have to get my body weight in check and get the shoulder healthy. So that'll be like the next kind of journey over the next couple of months, is just a lot of off-season training and some other goals that you're going to have to stay tuned to find out what they are. So, yeah, that's it, guys. 237 pounds body weight today. I'm going to just taking off the belt, taking off the gear for a while, doing more accessories, getting the cardio back in, getting my health back in check. Thank you guys for following me along my journey. This goal has been a multi-year process, and I hope you guys realize what's possible if you put in time and effort. I hope you realize you can be strong and lean, you can be healthy and strong, you can perform at a high level and not sacrifice your health, not sacrifice gaining a ton of body weight. And that's what I'm trying to show you guys, that you can compete at a high level. You could probably have 80% of your benefit when you kind of still keep your health in check. And maybe, obviously to get that to the highest level, you are going to have to sacrifice some health sometimes, but I think for most of us, it's probably not worth it. So that's my message, my take home for you guys. I hope it finds you well. If you guys want to support the program, you can check out the links below. Every little bit helps. And please subscribe. Please like the video, share if you found it helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I wish you guys the best of luck in 2020 as you guys approach the new year and the new decade. Let's kick some ass together. Until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.